Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Friday to you. We're going to take another look at Bitcoin, of course, help you, with best practice, big picture, see kind of what's going to happen next. Now, just know I'm not a financial advisor. Love teaching people to trade. Hope you can learn something here today. My goal is to help you become a better, more effective trader. So if you'd like that for yourself, CryptoCache.tech is a website. Link in the description below. Consider becoming a community member where you have access to my Trading Academy community and signals that I send. We've been taking some serious profits here, obviously to the upside with some long positions right now. So we'll take a look, of course, and see how much closer to the resistance level we're going to get, and just if this continuation should be expected throughout the weekend. We'll look at that and much more. Now, one thing we want to kind of start off with here is based on, so here yesterday we were getting close to 50 on the RSI. So if and when we can break through that and close soundly above, we're going to be in very, very good shape, or at least a lot better shape. Again, not perfect shape based on the simple fact that we're still underneath the 50-day set moving average, but generally at this point, we're looking pretty good in the overall sense of things. Okay, so again, all in all, positive here. We did effectively make a higher low. We're working within this very slow but very real ascending trend. Okay, so we've tested 3 times this continuation pattern, essentially providing us with higher lows on the daily, which is a great sign. We don't have our higher highs just yet, but we're almost there. Okay, so even if we weren't to get our higher highs, inevitably we'll squeeze above and break through that resistance area. Okay, and that resistance right now is pretty close to about 21,700, 21,500, right in that little range there. Just say 21.5 is a round number essentially, but based on Fibonacci, it's 21,700, and we can see that firm resistance level there for the moment. So again, we may see that level retested, and if so, that would be a point of contention. Breaking above that, closing above that soundly, preferably for a day or two, would put us over 50 on the RSI as well as that key level resistance. Again, this kind of has to happen, I would say, fairly soon, the next few days, of course, for us to break through 50. But once again, we're building up that momentum, and we're back up over the 20-day set moving average. So we got a lot of positive stuff here. It's just really important to note we've got a lot of resistances. So I would recommend a profit target in the 21,500 range, for example, or just say 22,000 as a round number for maybe a second profit target. But the reason why I say that is just because, again, 21,500 is a point of contention. It's an area that we've seen some strong resistance. So why not take profits right at that level? If the price continues, your second target will hit, right? That's one of the things. But if it turns around, you at least get filled and you take your 60, 70, 80% profit. That's essentially what we do in our signals and our trading community here. Essentially, it makes sense to secure profits whenever you can, okay? Especially when you're using leverage, you cannot get greedy. So taking a look, of course, at the 4 hour. Let's go ahead and just quickly note here that we are, how far into the sequence are we? We're a bit into the overtime category. Now, when we talked about this yesterday, we were hitting a 9 essentially, and I wasn't expecting it to go much further, but it still did, and it continued to work its way up, which is great in the sense of this continuation, but also note that it hasn't had a tremendous amount of consolidation. It's getting there. We got about maybe 12 hours here. I would say another 4 hour candle that goes sideways at about 20,700 should give us enough of a foundation for us to continue, get that reset on TD sequential, and essentially push our way through that key level resistance that we need to be back up above. Good news is we're up over 50 on the RSI once more on the 4 hour, which to me is very, a good starting point. If you stay over 50 on the RSI on the 4 hour, it inevitably will transition into a daily RSI over 50. And we're testing 50 right now on the daily, at least pretty darn close to it, right? So if we can get above that on the daily, we're looking pretty good, but this is a great start. It kind of tells us the relative strength in this 4 hour time frame is more bullish than bearish, okay? And that's the important thing to recognize. We can also see a MACD convergence still converging, but you can see, of course, it's losing its momentum. So bear in mind, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to turn around or reverse, but it could very well be a position where, it comes back down to retrace maybe to a next level and continues higher, as it has a few times in the past, right? You can kind of see this trend. It's the natural ebbs and flows of trading. Not the end of the world if the price comes back down to say the low 20,000 range, and then it continues up over the weekend. Now, as far as this weekend is concerned, again, low volume breeds unique volatility in most cases. So we cannot anticipate or expect this weekend to be extremely profitable. I would say trading throughout the weekend isn't necessarily always the most advantageous, just because you don't have the traditional hours, the market hours essentially affecting the volume. Because with low volume, I prefer to trade with more volume. That's essentially the bottom line. So just some friendly advice there. Careful trading over the weekends. But once again, we don't know until we get there. But for the moment, it does feel like it wants to continue to progress higher this weekend. We just need to see a little bit more consolidation, which thankfully we are seeing a nice healthy continuation here. Okay, so again, this is nice. You can see this resistance level here at about 20,750 on Fibonacci. It was retested multiple times, almost 4 or 5 times, and then it broke through. And what do you know? It comes back down to test it as a support level and continuing higher. So there's a great chance we're going to probably see the price action not come much lower than 20,750, and it'll probably continue to slowly progress sideways or up from here. We could once again get a retest of 20,300, once again, which was a previous high. I mean, look at how perfect these highs are right now within Fibonacci. Like, you can just see the way that it just keeps on retesting these levels, and that's really just the way that it's supposed to work. And that's essentially what Fibonacci is all about. There is kind of giving you those key levels of support and resistance. So if you're ever curious about where to set your profit targets, if you're going long, set your target just below the key level resistance. In other words, here, 21,700 is a Fibonacci retracement level. Profit target would be appropriate at 21.5 or 21.6, okay, just below. So just some things to kind of think about. Those are things that I always use in my signals that I send out to my community. So just bear in mind there's smart strategic ways of using Fibonacci, and this is one of those. We also want to quickly look here before we call it a day at the Ichimoku Cloud. We've got all green lights here. We just got to recognize that the lagging span is coming close to price action. So if it does intersect within the next 12 hours, then we might actually see the price decrease, right? Again, not decrease significantly, but enough to notice. In other words, if we look at TD sequential here, we can see we came up to an 8, got a tentative reset, and we're back up to a 2. So hypothetically, we could be at that overextended state, and the price action could come back down to retrace, to retest some previous support levels, okay? And again, previous support levels are essentially, used to be resistances, right? So this is used to be a resistance level here, now it's a support, okay? This is a resistance, and it should effectively work as a support once it's broken, right? That's essentially the concept. So again, just some things to kind of think about there, but generally speaking here, if you have a long position, you might want to consider taking some profits, because it does look like it's at the end of its current run. But again, today's Friday, there's a lot of strange stuff that can happen. We could literally shoot up or down near the end of the trading day. It's a unique thing that happens in trading with real market hours. So good news is, though, just to touch on this as well, you know, NASDAQ, S&P 500, they gapped up pretty heavily this morning. So with that significant gap up, that does give Bitcoin a little bit more confidence to effectively help us go that direction. Coincidentally, dollar index is down. Okay, so dollar index down, Bitcoin up. It's effectively how it's working. Just keep in mind that Bitcoin is creating more independence from the traditional markets in the last couple of weeks. So it does help us understand that we're probably closer to the bottom for Bitcoin in a lot of ways, but also, just breaking free from that connection. I think there will always be a connection, but generally speaking, Bitcoin is performing or outperforming the traditional markets for the moment. Okay, and I think that's a very positive sign, something we want to try to pay attention to. So just keep that in mind. That's roughly where we're at there for for Bitcoin. All good stuff here, essentially. We'll take another look, of course, tomorrow, see what's going on. But for now, I greatly appreciate you watching, and hopefully you learned a thing or two here today. And if you're not currently a community member, again, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below. I do offer discounts for third world countries and military alike, so feel free to message me direct if you have any questions. Only use the contact information below, of course, because I'll never direct message you or solicit you, as you see in the comments, unfortunately, down below. All right, well, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one. You take care.